For the last decade or so, we've been absolutely obsessed with making our world smart. You've heard it all: smart grids, smart cities. But what if in all of that, we've been asking the wrong questions? Today, we're going to explore a pretty radical idea. What happens when our physical infrastructure stops being just a passive cost and starts acting like an active partner with its very own business plan?
I mean, think about it. We've put sensors and monitors on just about everything. We've basically taught our infrastructure how to talk to us, to send us data about stress, about load, about when something might fail. It tells us its health status 24/7. And yeah, we listen. But the conversation has been incredibly one-sided.
And this is the one question we keep asking. How do I keep this running for less? For years, this has defined our entire approach. It's all about efficiency, optimization, maintenance. It's not a conversation, it's a monologue. And it's all focused on managing a liability and just minimizing the costs. We've basically been asking our world, how can you be less of a problem for me? Okay, but here's where it gets interesting. What if that conversation became a two-way street? What if that substation or that piece of land didn't just report its operational status, but started telling us about its unmet potential? What if it started asking us about its own future? So, to really wrap our heads around how massive this shift is, we first need to get crystal clear about where we've been. Let's call it the old conversation and really dig into the mindset that created it. This is Era 1. Just picture a utility substation. In this old model, its entire value is measured by something we call avoided cost. The cost of an outage that you manage to prevent. It's just a line item on a balance sheet. It's a risk you manage. Its one and only purpose is don't break. That's it. But now, we are right on the edge of a new era. This is that moment when the asset stops being just some passive object on a spreadsheet and starts becoming an active participant in creating value. Imagine an asset could actually say this to you. It's not just a point on a map anymore. It's this unique intersection of infrastructure, biology, community, capital, the whole shebang. Its current job, say moving electrons around, is just one of the many things it could be doing. It knows its potential is plural and it's asking us, hey, what is my highest purpose? Help me unlocking. So this new dialogue, it naturally leads us to a whole new way of understanding value. Let's walk through this evolution, this journey of an asset through three really distinct eras. So we've already covered Era 1, right? The simple cost center. The next step up is Era 2, the coordinated asset. This is where we start to see and actually use the connections between different systems. But the final destination, the real game changer, is Era 3. The purpose-driven point, where the asset itself becomes a source of brand new growth. And this chart really lays it all out. Look at the shift here. In Era 1, value is just avoided cost. In Era 2, we get a bit smarter. We start unlocking trapped value by being more efficient. But Era 3, that's a complete paradigm shift. The value becomes generative purpose, the ability to create totally new forms of value. And the conversation itself goes from managing risk and capital expenses to asking, what can we become together? And that leap from Era 1 to Era 2, it's not a small one. The research here suggests that by just coordinating assets that are right next to each other, like, say, putting a solar canopy on the same land as a substation whose runoff helps a local aquifer, we could see efficiency multipliers as high as 64x. That is a huge gain from just reducing waste. But believe it or not, that's only the beginning. So that begs the question, right? How do we make that final leap from just coordinating things better to actually creating something new? Well, it requires a fundamental upgrade in the technology we're using, moving way beyond simple data collection. This comparison really gets to the heart of it. A discovery engine is basically a diagnostic tool. It finds what's broken, it maps waste, and it answers the question, where is the pain? But an imagination engine? That's generative. It doesn't just see a substation and a warehouse next door. No, it models a whole new synergy. It might propose a vertical farm inside that warehouse, powered by the substation, cooled by its water runoff, and creating a brand new local food market. It's asking a totally different question. What unique value can we create right here, right now? So what's the secret sauce here? What fuels this imagination engine? It's a concept called ontological intelligence. Now, this isn't just about sensor data. It's about fusing that hard quantitative data with soft contextual knowledge, things like a community's history, the local ecology, the human stories. It's recognizing that you need both the blueprint and the biography of a place to really understand its true potential. Okay, so I know what you're probably thinking. This all sounds fantastic, but it brings up one massive question. How on earth do you fund these complex, multi-layered projects? Your standard project finance loan, yeah, that's just not going to cut it. This is going to require a completely new financial tool. We're not talking about a traditional corporate bond that's tied to one company's balance sheet. We're talking about a bond that is tied directly to the verified multi-layered value of the place itself, its infrastructure, its ecology, and its community.
So let's break this down. How does a bond like this actually work? Well, the structure is pretty fascinating because it's backed by all the different layers of value the place creates. You have Tranche A, the most secure part, backed by predictable infrastructure fees from that substation. Then Tranche B is secured by environmental benefits, like carbon credits from that new solar canopy. Tranche C could be backed by fees from a new water purification service it creates. And then there's Tranche D, and this is the really exciting part. It's basically equity in the brand new businesses this location helps create, like that vertical farm. Investors aren't just betting on a company, they're betting on the vitality of a place.
So, when you have a new model for value and a new model for finance, it's pretty obvious you're going to need a new model of leadership too. The old C-suite roles, they just don't fit anymore. The roles completely transform. The CFO isn't just allocating capital anymore, they're evaluating these complex purpose portfolios. The COO isn't just optimizing a supply chain, they're orchestrating a living, breathing ecosystem. And the CEO, their responsibility expands beyond the walls of the corporation. They become a steward CEO of an entire geography, with a duty to both their shareholders and to the place itself. And why does any of this matter? Well, because the cost of our old way of thinking it's just staggering. There's an estimated $7 trillion global fragmentation tax. That is the price we all pay for our siloed, uncoordinated systems, for leaving all this potential value locked away where our assets can't work together. At the end of the day, it really all comes down to this. The first step is simple, but it is so profound. We have to change the question. We have to stop the one-way conversation about cost and start a real, two-way dialogue about purpose and potential. You know, for years, our infrastructure has been sending us signals, trying to talk to us. Maybe it's finally time we learned its language and really listened to what it has to say.